Alice sat by the window, watching the rain. Drops traced down the glass, leaving wet trails that looked like tears. She wasn't crying anymore. The tears had run out 3 weeks ago, when she'd walked through these doors with one bag and her daughter in her arms. The women's shelter looked like any ordinary house. No signs, no markers. Safety came first. 12 women and 16 children lived here, all with the same stories, all running from fear. Alice was 32 years old. She used to teach, loved to read, and dreamed of family. Then she met him. It started beautifully. Flowers, compliments, promises. It ended with bruises, screaming, and nights when she'd hold her daughter close and whisper, "Everything will be okay," though she didn't believe it herself. She left in February, a cold morning when he was out. She took only documents and her daughter's favorite toy. Everything else stayed behind, along with the fear. But the fear didn't stay. It came here with her. It lived in every sound outside the door, every man's voice on the street, every phone ring. Alice was afraid to go out, afraid he'd find her, afraid it would all happen again. Margaret, who ran the shelter, would say, "You're safe." The counselor repeated, "You're strong." But Alice felt neither safe nor strong. She felt empty. This morning, Margaret shared news. The Duchess of Cambridge was coming to visit. No cameras, no press. Just to talk. The women whispered. Some were excited, some were scared. Alice felt nothing. What difference did it make who came? No one could give her life back. She checked the time. 1 hour. Meanwhile, at Kensington Palace, Kate stood before a mirror, buttoning her beige coat. Hair pulled into a simple bun. No jewelry. She wanted to look ordinary. Approachable. William wrapped his arm around her shoulders. "Are you sure?" he asked quietly. "Yes," Kate answered. "They need to know they're seen, that they're heard." She'd been thinking about this visit all week. Reading stories of women who'd survived violence. Every story broke her heart. Every story could be any woman's story. A sister, a friend, a mother. Kate got in the car. The rain grew heavier. She stared out the window thinking, what can I say? What can I give these women? Protocol hadn't prepared her for meetings like this. Smiles for cameras and rehearsed phrases wouldn't help here. This needed to be real. The car stopped at an unmarked building. Kate stepped out. Rain touched her face. She took a deep breath and went inside. Kate crossed the threshold of the shelter. Warmth, the smell of fresh bread and coffee. Margaret met her in the hallway. "Your Royal Highness, thank you for coming," she began. "Just Kate." The Duchess smiled. "Today I'm not here as a member of the royal family. I'm here as a woman, as a mother." They walked into the common room. Women sat on sofas. Some held children. Some nervously fidgeted with their sleeves. Alice stood by the window, her back to the door. Kate looked around. She saw fear in these women's eyes, saw how they flinched when someone entered the room. Her heart tightened. "Hello," she said simply. "My name is Kate. I came to listen. If you want to talk?" Silence. Then one woman started crying. Kate sat beside her on the sofa, took her hand. "I know this is hard," she whispered. The woman nodded, couldn't speak. Kate just held her hand, in silence. They sat like that for several minutes. Other women began moving closer. Alice still stood by the window. She heard the Duchess's voice, soft, warm, without a trace of pity. It was strange. Usually people looked at survivors of violence with pity, like they were broken. But this voice sounded different, like it was speaking to an equal. "You're all incredibly brave," Kate said. "Leaving isn't weakness, it's strength, it's choosing life." Alice turned around. The Duchess was looking straight at her. Brown eyes, warm, understanding. I remember, Kate continued, being afraid to walk through London alone in the evenings, before the wedding, that fear when you hear footsteps behind you, when keys are clenched in your fist, when you call a friend and ask them not to hang up until you're home. The women nodded. They knew that fear, only their fear was bigger. It lived in their own homes. Kate stood, walked over to Alice. "What's your name?" she asked quietly. "Alice." "Alice," Kate repeated. "Beautiful name. Would you like to talk?" Alice looked at her and suddenly felt something shift inside. That look. There was no pity in it. There was respect. "I don't know where to start," she whispered. "Start wherever you want," Kate answered. They sat on the sofa by the window. Alice told her story, about the beautiful beginning and the terrible end, about bruises she'd hidden under sleeves, about nights when he came home drunk, about her daughter learning to hide in the closet, about running away. Kate listened, didn't interrupt, only squeezed her hand sometimes. When Alice finished, Kate looked into her eyes. "You saved your daughter," she said, "and yourself. That's the bravest thing a person can do. But I'm scared," Alice admitted. "Every day, every minute. The fear will stay." Kate nodded. "But it doesn't define you. You're more than your fear. You're a mother who chose life. You're a woman who said no. That's strength." Alice cried, for the first time in 3 weeks, but these were different tears, not despair, relief. Kate hugged her, just hugged her, without words. And Alice felt it. She was seen, not as a victim, as a person. Kate spent 3 hours at the shelter. She spoke with every woman, listened to stories, held hands, played with children. Before leaving, she brought flower bouquets from the car. Fresh roses, lavender, freesias. "For you," she said. "So there's color in these walls. So there's beauty." The women took the flowers. Someone smiled for the first time in ages. Alice received a bouquet of white roses. She pressed them to her chest. Kate left, but something remained. Hope, thin, fragile, but real. In the following weeks, Alice thought about the meeting, about the Duchess's words, "You're more than your fear." She repeated them every morning, like a mantra. And Kate returned to the palace and couldn't forget. The women's faces, the stories, the pain. That night she didn't sleep. She sat in her office thinking, what else can be done? The next day she called a charitable foundation, requested information about support programs, studied statistics. The numbers were frightening. 1 in 4 women, 1 in 4. Kate began working, quietly, without fanfare, connecting with organizations, raising issues at meetings, writing letters. She wanted to change the system, wanted women like Alice to get help faster, wanted more shelters, wanted escape from violence to be more accessible. William saw how immersed she was in this cause. One evening he asked, "Why is this so important to you?" Kate looked at him. "Because it can happen to anyone, to your sister, to our daughter, to any woman. And if I can change even something, I have to do it." He hugged her. "You are changing things," he said quietly. At the shelter, Alice was taking her first steps. The counselor helped her manage anxiety. She started going outside, first for 5 minutes, then 10, then half an hour. Her daughter played with other children, laughed, for the first time in ages. Alice watched her thinking, we'll make it. But at night, she still had nightmares. His face, his screaming, his hands. Alice would wake up in cold sweat, and then she'd remember the white roses, remember Kate's words, and the fear would retreat. A month later, Margaret announced Alice could move to the second stage of the program, a separate apartment with support, a step toward independence. "Are you ready?" Margaret asked. Alice thought. The fear was there. But there was another voice too, a voice whispering, "You can do this." "Yes," she answered. "I'm ready." The move happened in early spring. A small apartment on the 3rd floor, 2 rooms, a kitchen, a window overlooking the park. Alice brought in her things. There weren't many, but it was hers, her space, her beginning. Her daughter ran through the room. "Mama, look, our home." Alice nodded. Tears filled her eyes. Our home. She got a job, library assistant, small salary but steady. Colleagues were kind. No one asked too many questions. Life was getting better. Slowly, with setbacks, but getting better. One morning, Alice received a letter. The envelope bore the Kensington Palace seal. Her hands trembled. She opened it. Inside was a card, watercolor flowers on white, and a short note in Kate's handwriting. "Dear Alice, I'm thinking of you. I hope you found your path. Remember, you're stronger than you think. Warmly, Kate." Alice pressed the card to her chest. She hadn't expected it. Hadn't hoped for it. But the Duchess remembered her name, remembered her story. That evening someone rang the doorbell. Alice flinched. Old reflex, fear. She looked through the peephole, a courier holding a box. "For Alice Mills," he said. She opened the door, took the box. Inside was a bouquet, white roses, just like before, and a note. "So your new home has beauty. Kate." Alice couldn't hold back tears. She put the roses in a vase on the table, and for the first time felt it. She wasn't alone. Someone remembered. Someone cared. That day, Kate was returning from another visit. She'd launched a support program for women leaving shelters. Counseling, job placement help, psychological support. The program was just beginning, but it had already helped 15 women. Her secretary asked, "Your Royal Highness, should we mention this to the press?" "No," Kate answered. "This isn't for the press. This is for them." She thought about Alice and the other women. Their faces stayed before her eyes. She wanted each of them to know, there's a way out. Life after violence is possible. Alice hung the card on the refrigerator. Every morning she read Kate's words, "You're stronger than you think," and believed. A year passed. Alice stood in the same library, but no longer as an assistant. She'd been promoted. Now she worked with children, read them stories, taught them to love books. Her daughter started school, laughed, made friends, was happy. Sometimes she asked about her father. Alice answered honestly but gently, explained that sometimes people are sick not in body, but in soul, and that she and her daughter had chosen health. The fear didn't disappear completely, but it no longer controlled her life. Alice learned to live with it, learned to say no, learned to set boundaries. She joined a support group, met with other women who'd survived violence, shared experiences, listened, helped. One day a new woman came to the group, young, frightened. She sat in the corner crying. Alice walked over, sat beside her, took her hand. "I know how scary it is," she said, "but you're not alone." The woman looked at her. "You too?" she whispered. "Yes," Alice nodded. "A year ago I was in your place, and I thought I wouldn't survive, but now I'm here, and I'm living." She told her story, about running away, about the shelter, about meeting Kate, about the white roses and the card. "Someone saw me not as a victim, but as a person," Alice said. "And that changed everything. I want you to feel that too." The woman cried. But these were tears of hope. Kate continued her work. Her program expanded to 5 cities. 200 women received help. She visited shelters, spoke with survivors, listened, supported. In one interview she was asked, "Why is this cause so important to you?" Kate paused. Because violence isn't just statistics, it's people. Women who deserve safety. Children who deserve childhood. If we can help even one woman break this cycle, we must do it. Her words spread across the country. People began talking, raising the issue, donating, helping. Alice saw that interview. She sat on the sofa with her daughter watching the screen. Kate spoke about the importance of support, about how every woman deserves a life without fear. "Mama, is that the nice lady who gave us flowers?" her daughter asked. "Yes." Alice smiled. "That's her. She's kind." "Very." That evening, Alice wrote a letter. Short, simple. "Dear Kate, a year has passed. I wanted you to know. I made it. I have a job, a home, my daughter is happy. I still keep your roses. Dried, but they remind me that beauty exists even after pain. Thank you for seeing me as a person. Alice." 2 weeks later, a reply came. A card with flowers and a note. "Dear Alice, I'm so glad. You made the journey yourself. I only reminded you of your strength. So proud of you. Kate." Alice hung the card next to the first one. 2 cards, 2 stages. 1 life. She looked out the window. Spring, blooming trees. Her daughter played in the yard, laughing, living. Alice smiled. For the first time in ages, she wasn't thinking about the past, but about the future. And it was bright. The name Alice Mills has been changed to protect confidentiality. This story is based on real events during Kate Middleton's visits to shelters for women affected by domestic violence, including her visit to the Dana Crisis Center in Copenhagen in February 2022.